from winning 5 titles in a row to having horrible strategy calls. This is the absolutely dreadful history of my favourite team, Scuderia Ferrari. Founded back in 1929 by Enzo Ferrari, a man whose attitude was absolutely horrible because he hated his drivers. He had a relationship with a couple of them, but most of them turned out to be unfortunately tragic. As I said, founded back in 1929 by former racing driver Enzo Ferrari, it was originally sort of the Alpha Corse division and the sports division of Alfa Romeo. And they had success in the 30s with drivers such as Giuseppe Campari and, of course, the legendary Tazio Nuvolari. They couldn't beat the Auto Union and Mercedes cars of that era, which included the likes of Bernd Rosemeyer, Rolf Caracciola, and, of course, the funniest name in F1 history, Dick Seaman. Oh, wait, no, not F1 history, motorsport history, Dick Seaman. Oh dear, he didn't turn out to be very good, did he? They couldn't beat the Mercs and Auto Unions. However, at the 1935 German Grand Prix, they provided an upset around the Nordschleife as Nuvolari won for them. However, Campari unfortunately died in an accident, and Nuvolari ended up having to retire after the war because he was getting old. Because of the war happened, they had to make cars for the Socialist Republic of Italy. Not very good, not cars, vehicles. And they decided to split off from Alfa Romeo after so they officially became a fully fledged team called Scuderia Ferrari. Their original base was in Modena, however they moved to Maranello, which was still in Modena, and they ended up getting based. And this in 1948 was the official beginning of Scuderia Ferrari. They entered the first ever Formula 1 championship back in 1958 at Monaco and scored a second place with Alberto Ascari, who was with the team for his entire lifespan in Formula 1. He won, their first win came the next year with Jose Florian Gonzalez at the British Grand Prix, who held off Alberto Ascari and Juan Manuel Fangio to win after, I think he gave his car over to Ascari. I don't know if that actually happened or not. The next year, a title would follow with Alberto Ascari. And for the next 2 years, they would dominate with Ascari, who won every single race he took part in during the 1952 season. In 1953, it wasn't as dominant, but he still beat the likes of Fangio and Gonzalez, who was still a Ferrari driver. Don't know why I mentioned him. But unfortunately, due to sort of regulation changes, they were no longer as good as the likes of Mercedes and Maserati. And they lost to Mercedes 2 years in a row, with Fangio and Moss dominating the next 2 years, with Hawthorne, Gonzalez, Collins, Musso, and Ascari trying their best to take them down in the next couple of years, but they wouldn't be able to. However, in 1957, Fangio joined the team. If you can't beat them, join them. Or, in this case, if you can beat them, join them. Fangio joined the team in 1957 and won the championship before ending up retiring at the end of halfway through 1958. This meant that there was a seat open, and that went to Luigi Musso. I think it went to Luigi Musso, who drove for the team in only 1958, I'm pretty sure. As Collins, Musso, and Hawthorne all had a fierce rivalry. This meant that during this season, Musso and Collins unfortunately died. Rest in peace. First of quite a lot of drivers who unfortunately had massive accidents. Anyway, Hawthorne won the championship that year by beating Stirling Moss, who gave him the championship on a gold platter after Moss gave him the championship on a gold platter. I already said that, by making sure his disqualification in Portugal got reversed. Uno reverse card! The following year, however, it wouldn't be as good, as Tony Brooks, who drove for Ferrari in 1959, couldn't beat the Cooper of Jack Brabham, who ended up winning the championship ahead of Brooks and Stirling Moss's Lotus. In 1960, they still tried, but they couldn't beat the Coopers of McLaren and Brabham. However, in 1961, with Olivier Gendebien, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Wolfgang von Trips and Phil Hill and another driver, Richie Ginther, they nearly won the championship. Oh wait, they did win the championship, as they dominated, with only Stirling Moss getting close to them. That was a terrible reference. As I was saying, 1961, Hill wins the championship ahead of Von Trips, who unfortunately also died in an accident at Monza. The next couple of years would be horrible for the team, as they would not win any races. However, John Surtees joined the team in 1962 and won the championship 2 years later in 1964, beating the BRM of Graham Hill and the Lotus of Jim Clark, both teams finishing behind in the constructors in that order. The next couple of years would be difficult for the team after Lorenzo Bandini, the team leader, unfortunately died in an accident at Monaco. However, Chris Amon would be able to provide 4 podiums in 67, and Scarfiotti would be able to provide a win in 1966. The next couple of years again would be quite difficult. However, in 1970, Regazzoni and Ickx fought for the title, well, along with Jochen Rindt. However, neither of them won it, although Regazzoni only took part in the last half of the season, so yeah. The next couple of years again would be difficult, as they wouldn't be able to fight the likes of Jackie Stewart and Emerson Fittipaldi. Regazzoni did come close on several occasions, and in 1974, after rejoining Ferrari from BRM, alongside the legendary Niki Lauda, Regazzoni almost won the championship in 74, only just losing out to Fittipaldi. And then in 1975, Lauda dominated the championship, winning it by over 15 points, which at the time was a lot of a margin. Obviously, the point system was different back then. However, in 1976, they did win the Constructors. However, due to a massive accident at the Nürburgring, Niki Lauda could not take part in the last in 2 races, which meant that Hunt took his points. Quote from the Rush film: I was sitting in the hospital bed while you took on my points. Final scene in Rush. In 1977, however, Lauda dominated the championship yet again, despite missing the last 2 rounds after being sacked by Enzo Ferrari and being replaced by Gilles Villeneuve, who apparently reminded Ferrari of Tazio Nuvolari. More titles would follow in 1979, 1982 and 1983, with only one of them, however, being a Drivers' Championship with Jody Scheckter, as he beat Villeneuve in 1979. He did take a couple of wins with Carlos Reutemann in 1978, however, it wasn't good enough to launch a title challenge, as Lotus was dominating. In 1980, the team struggled, and as they did in the late 1980s as well, as they wouldn't win a title for 21 years. Wouldn't win a driver's title for 21 years. However, they did win the Constructors in 1982, as they had 4 drivers that year: Mario Andretti, Patrick Tambay, and of course their drivers at the start of the year, Gilles Villeneuve and Didier Pironi. Unfortunately, Villeneuve died in an accident at Zolder. However, the team managed to win the Constructors that year, and again in 1983 after they finished 4th and 5th in the championship with Arnoux and Tambay. Even though they didn't finish in the top 3. That honour went to Nelson Piquet, and whoever the other 2 were, Alain Prost, and actually no, Arnoux was 3rd, I think, in the championship. But we move on. The whole point is to just get through this as quickly as I can. 1984, McLaren dominate. 1985, Williams and McLaren dominate. Same with the next 2 years. 3, 4, 5 years. Until 1990, when Prost joins the team along with Nigel Mansell, who had been fed up with Williams' poor performances in the 88 and 89. Mansell finished 4th in the championship that year, and Prost finished 2nd, only missing out to Ayrton Senna, who apparently cheated and took him out at turn 1. That was payback from last year when Prost took him out at the chicanes. The next couple of years again would be difficult, as Senna and Mansell would dominate the sport, and so would Williams, Benetton and McLaren until 2000. Obviously, they did get regular wins, and in 1999 they won the Constructors for the first time in 16 years. However, it wasn't enough to win the title, as their car wasn't good enough, and Irvine missed out on points because he unfortunately didn't have a very lucky season. And Michael Schumacher, who joined the team in 1996 along with Ross Brawn and Jean Todt did in 1993, it changed Ferrari as they won 5 titles in a row, a clean sweep from 2000 all the way until 2004, and dominated F1 in the most dominant period of the sport until Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes decided to partner up in 2013. In 2005, it was a difficult year for the team, as the FIA did everything in their power to make sure Ferrari didn't win the Constructors or even the Drivers. Schumacher only got 3rd in the Drivers, winning only 1 race, and that was the disastrous 2005 US GP. And in 2006, he nearly won the title, but Fernando Alonso was still too quick for Schumacher. And at the Italian Grand Prix, Schumacher announced he was retiring from Formula 1. If that was a lot. In 2007, Kimi Räikkönen joined the team and won the championship in his rookie year for Ferrari. Of course, it wasn't his rookie year in F1. He already had 7 years in the sport, nearly winning it in 2005. And in 2008, Massa fought for the title and was world champion for 35 seconds until Glock decided to ruin it all for him. Dun! And Hamilton ended up winning the championship in the end. However, Ferrari won the Constructors for the 2nd year in a row. However, the next couple of years would be a little bit difficult. 2009 was not a good year for the team, as they only took 1 win with Räikkönen at Belgium. However, and quote this, Fernando Alonso, who joined the team in 2010, said the F10, which was the 2010 Ferrari, was the best car he ever driven, and the pace was being hidden from his rivals. He had a brilliant year in 2010, only missing out because Vitaly Petrov, the legendary Russian, decided to make sure Seb won the title. The Weltmeister. 2011, Vettel dominated, and in 2012 the car was extremely slow, but Alonso managed to get close to the championship and lose out by only 3 points from Vettel. And in 2013, Vettel dominated yet again. The turbo hybrid came in 2014. Turbo hybrid era came in 2014, and it wasn't a good time for the Scuderia, as in 2014 they finished just 4th in the constructors. However, Sebastian Vettel joined the team at the end of 2014 and won 3 races that year in Malaysia, Hungary, and in Singapore, emotionally in Hungary following the unfortunate passing of Jules Bianchi. 2016, the car was extremely slow and was only good enough for 3rd in the constructors, as Red Bull and Mercedes were so much quicker than them. However, from 2017 and 2018, it was two brilliant years for the Scuderia, as he finished 2nd in the constructors and almost won the title with Vettel in both years, as Vettel nearly won the championship if he hadn't made so many mistakes. 2017 Singapore, 2018 Hockenheim, 2018 Japan, 2018 USA. Half of those races he went to spin. I don't want to say it. And in 2019 it was a bit of a transitional year for the team, as team principal Maurizio Arrivabene left the team, and technical director Matteo Spinotto became the leader of the team, and stupidly enough decided to keep his role as technical director until 2020. Which meant that he designed the absolute utter garbage of a car that was the SF1000. However, the SF90 wasn't too bad a car, as it took 3 wins at Singapore with Sebastian Vettel, and emotionally at Belgium with Charles Leclerc, and at Ferrari's home track for the first time in 9 years with Leclerc, as he won despite Vettel going spin-a-lot yet again. In 2020, it was yet a really poor year for the team, as so far it's been a horrible year, with them only scoring a couple of podiums at Silverstone and at the Austrian GP. However, and Vettel announced he was leaving Ferrari to go to Aston Martin, which meant that seat is going to be filled by Carlos Sainz. In the imminent future, the likes of Mick Schumacher, Callum Ilott, and Robert Schwartzman all have the potential to get that seat in one day. However, I reckon it will go to Schumacher due to his last name pressure, and due to the fact that he's currently leading the Formula 2 Championship. So anyway guys, if you did enjoy this video on Ferrari, like and subscribe, and